We continue tracking the deadly storm. We have a team of reporters from Sacramento to Stockton, tracking the storm and the path of destruction it left behind.
But we start with ABC 10's Brandon Ritterman, who is live in East Sacramento. And Brandon, you're tracking the cleanup process with even more rain on the way.
A lot of cleanup to do, too. We're over on H Street at 37th, and you can see SMUD crews right now sizing up. They're going to have to replace a couple of poles that were damaged by falling trees during the wind that we had 2 days ago. It's really taking time to get to these trees, those saturated tree roots really making a mess of things. And we saw tree crews all over the city of Sacramento today, trying to do what they can to clear what has become a pretty intense backlog of work cleaning up after that storm. You know the old adage about eating an elephant, you got to do it one bite at a time. Some of these big trees, they take hours of labor for big teams of workers to get them out of there cut by cut. On one job to the next, they were working to open up roads, open sidewalks that were blocked by big trees, a bunch of which, as I mentioned, fell 2 days ago. Crews cleared the biggest tree that fell here at H and 36, but the street was still closed today because of those damaged power lines we just showed you. The SMUD poles are gonna have to come out and new ones put in.
We have no idea when the power is going to be back up. It's probably not, maybe the end of the week, we're not sure, but this half of the street has power, the rest of us over here don't.
This weather cycle we're in right now is absolutely punishing, and one thing everyone needs to keep in mind, the trees that fell down, yeah, they're interesting to look at, but a lot of trees that are still standing have been weakened by the wind that we already had, and with all the rainfall we've had, they still have saturated roots, so we could see this story play out again and again with all the systems that we have headed our way.
Very active scene behind you there, Brandon, and tough weekend for the city of trees. And then we also have a flood watch in effect until at least Wednesday. This storm is not over yet. We'll check back in as things merit, Brandon. Aside from the damage those fallen trees can have on homes, cars, and roads, they can also be deadly. Tonight, we are learning a second person has died because of a fallen tree. According to the Sacramento County coroner, 40-year-old Rebecca Rohde died along the American River. And 61-year-old Stephen Sorensen died in the North Highlands area. Both of them were homeless. Officials say they were found in their tents.
Now let's take a look at the power outages. Here's the pg&e outage map showing many areas still in the dark. Meanwhile, tonight, some SMUD customers are with power, but more than 28,000 customers are still dealing with outages. More than 100 SMUD teams are working to repair damaged power lines. Arden and Carmichael are some of the hardest hit areas. This is the scene in parts of Carmichael. Take a look. Downed power lines, fallen trees, and flooded roads. One Carmichael neighborhood had a tree that's been blocking the road for more than a day. We talked with a neighbor who lives just a few homes down. And he says last week he had a 120-foot tall tree fall in his yard in his alpaca enclosure. And this last storm knocked out his power for 24 hours.
I went to work because there was power on where I worked at REI. So then I came home hoping the power would be on, but it wasn't. So then I just went to sleep.
Gordon says he and his family just keep the freezer and fridge closed. And most of the food, he says, the frozen food is fine. He also keeps battery-powered lights at the ready, cars full of gas, and non-perishable food. Now his power is back on, but his 95-year-old mother still had outages into today. This is a good reminder to check in on your loved ones or friends who may be impacted by these storms.
And Monica, now's a good time to secure anything that might blow away. Are we expecting more high winds tonight?
We will. And now tonight, we're going to head into one of those periods where we get that quick line of storms moving through. Our peak wind gusts earlier today at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Sacramento reporting site has been up and down in terms of its power, so we're not entirely sure if that's the peak wind gust. It was closer to about 40 miles per hour from some of the other monitoring sites in and around the area. But we're right back at it. Wind advisory goes into place tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. That'll take us through 1 o'clock in the afternoon. South winds at roughly 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusts 30 to 40. But as Brendan was mentioning, it's not going to take much. With the saturated ground, things are going to fall pretty quickly, even with lighter winds. Nothing like what we saw Saturday night into Sunday morning. But you can see the quick ramp up in these wind gusts here. Right about 4 a.m. is when they're closer to about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Modesto close to about 40 mile per hour peak wind gusts, and that'll be in play through the morning commute. After that, things start to wind down, and it's really just this fine line of precipitation that's going to move through in sequence with those strong winds. And you see that happening right about 3 o'clock in the morning with some heavy downpours there. And then we'll find waves of moisture coming through. But all in all, the heaviest rain hits overnight through early tomorrow, leading to more flooding problems. We still have this flood advisory in effect until 6 p.m. for low-lying areas and poor drainage areas that have standing waters. And as you mentioned, Chris, that flood watch continues through Wednesday. More to come.
We'll check back in shortly, Monica. Thank you. Tonight, the California National Guard is standing by in Wilton. They plan to help local emergency officials if needed.
The city is under an evacuation order, but as our Roxanne Elias explains, it's not so easy for some people to just pick up and go. Roxanne, what are you hearing from homeowners there?
Well, Laura, here behind me is where a Wilton father, his teen daughter, and wife live. If you could see behind me, kind of a scary sight here, a close call as power lines and poles fell onto their property close to their home, onto trees. Now, we're told that these are de-energized right now, but still the family says they're not leaving their home despite the latest evacuation order. And the biggest reason for that is because they have several animals.
I'm not, because I'm just going to take my chances.
To evacuate or not.
There's a lot of people that are hunkering down out there. That's normally what we do, but we just had some twin boys, so that heat, they need it. That's why we left.
James Pagniban is a father of 4 who hasn't had power since Saturday. He's decided to leave, but another neighbor on Dillard Road says he's staying, despite this power line pole coming down right in front of his home.
2 nights ago, when the wind was picking up, we could see the poles starting to really move. And then we were actually looking out the window and it snapped in half, and you could see it hit the eucalyptus trees and blow up.
Power lines fell on top of his home. This is just one example of why officials are asking residents to seek shelter elsewhere.
So since the evacuation center was housed in our city, I wanted to make sure that I can lend any support and make sure that the Red Cross and the county knows that the city of Elk Grove is here to support them in any way that we can.
For those staying despite evacuation orders and more help on the way to help emergency responders, the wait begins to see what'll happen with more rain on the way.
We have animals and we need to make sure that they're safe. If we went somewhere, it would be hard to bring all the animals.
And for those leaving, there's a sense of relief knowing their family will be safe.
Stay positive.
It's a tough call for everyone right now, but the evacuation center that is taking people in, it's called the Sacramento Asian Foundation in Elk Grove, and they do have a location now that does take pets that will be right across the road from that area. Chris, Laura,
that is good to know. Thank you. Now, we can't stress enough, Roxanne, to really heed these warnings. We know 2 people have died in the recent floodings in Wilton. Thank you, Roxanne.
And coming up tonight at 6:30, ABC 10's Alex Bell is talking to Wilton firefighters and the National Guard. They stress if the area floods, evacuation routes will be impassable and rescues will be very difficult. A closer look at the race to save lives tonight on To the Point with Alex Bell at 6:30. Here at ABC 10, we stand for you. We made a list of resources to help you deal with the aftermath of the storm and to prepare for even more rain. Just text the word STORM to 916-321-3310. We'll send you everything you need to know straight to your phone.